Let me introduce you to our new microwave oven. It's a GE, I think 1.5 cubic foot. It's got the rotisserie inside. Being a new microwave oven, you can come up here and say you want 1 minute. So you just touch one and it gives you 1 minute of cook time. 4, 3, 2, 1. It's complete, but the lock light remains on. You have to come down, press cancel, the lock light goes off, then you can open the door. This is our new Crosley propane stove, and it's a little bit different than the old one. It operates a little different. So to light it, the old one you used to turn it right there and it would click. This one you go all the way and it lights right up, and then that's low, high. But yeah, you go all the way to high to light. And while we're in the galley, the refrigerators are still working fine. We do have an issue with this one. The light is out or it blinks. And nobody in Page has the correct light for this refrigerator. So unfortunately, I cannot fix this at this time. If anybody wants to bring out a LED light, it's not a light bulb, it's a little strip that goes up in there and it plugs in. Otherwise, I'll have to order one online and bring it at a later time. So while we are making how-to videos, let's go up to the console, because there's always been an occasional question about what and how and so on. So let's go to engine starting procedures. You turn the key on. We're going to go to starboard, and you hear the tone. You have to come over here and hold that button, and then you get a blinking light on the shifter. You can then reach up, start the engine. As soon as it starts, the gauges all cycle, and then you can watch. You have your tachometer, engine oil pressure, engine water temperature, and your voltage. So you can pretty much tell everything's working the way it is. It's idling correctly. Voltage is a little over 13 volts. Oil pressure is a little over 40 psi, and that's cold. When it warms up, it'll be a little less. And of course, the water temperature should not go over 160. If it does, you want to shut down and, protect the engines. Shifting, you just move it forward, goes into forward, move it back. It's pretty straightforward. All of you know that. And you do the same thing on the port engine. So you get out of the harbor. Now you want to go drive from the fly bridge. All you need to do with the engines running is stop the boat, put this in neutral, and then go up top and press that button, and the lights will come on, and now you'll have control from the upper deck. The trim switches, I think you all know how to use this, but to raise and out drive, you will press the center and the top button simultaneously, and it will raise that out drive. To lower it back down, center and bottom. Okay, let's move to the generator. So most of you know how to do this, but I'm going to go through it just in case. So first thing, before you start the generator, you want to make sure the switch is off, straight up. Make sure there's no load on the generator when it's starting. Then you simply come up here and you touch the start button. Touch it and release. And you notice the green light pops up. And when the engine starts, it gets real bright. Then you come down, turn the switch to gen, and that's all there is to it. Power comes on. This is the water heater switch. You turn it on, get the red light, and that will heat your water. All right, and now we'll go through shut down, turn off everything. turn off this switch, and then come up here and on the stop side, just touch it and it will shut down. Okay, let's go over here to the inverter. The inverter is currently operating. You simply turn the inverter on and off with this button right here. You click it, it'll turn the inverter off, click it, and it'll turn the inverter on. That should be the only button you ever touch on this. The other buttons, you're going to need the manual, which is in the cabinet behind the captain's chair here. But you should never need to do anything here other than turn the inverter on, turn it off. When it's operating, it's showing you how many amps it's putting out, 27 amps, and that the DC input is 12.8 volt. And that's good. As long as we're up above that 12.3 range-ish, and then during the day, of course, that number is going to get much higher because of the solar. But that's how you operate the inverter. Simply on, off, that's it. You shouldn't have to mess with anything else on it. Okay, let's talk about our 12-volt system here. You can see it's currently bouncing 12.3, 12.4. But I have stuff turned on, such as the blowers are on because I started the engine. I have the stereo on. I'll turn off the amplifier and the stereo. And you see how much the voltage increased when I turned everything off. So with everything off, we want that voltage to remain above 12.3. That would be ideal. If it gets below 12.3 with everything turned off, please start the generator and let it run for about 30 minutes in order to bring those batteries back up to a full charge. Our water cooler that we've had a couple of years. I just went through and rebuilt everything, put a new water pump in it. The water pump had froze up. And the way this works is it takes water. You pour the water in there. You got a sight gauge here that'll go up as you get it full. When you operate it, turn the pump on and then turn the fan on, and it'll blow cool air. Turn that back off. Turn the pump off. The unit is a Hess Air 5300 CFM. 170 gallon per hour is the water pump. It's not how much water you have to put in. That's actually the pump that's in it, the circulating pump. So that's only there for reference in case we ever need to buy another pump. Now we know what it is. Feel free to use it. It works very well. It was 100 degrees here yesterday. We closed the front door. We turned this on and we opened the kitchen window, and it really kept this room nice and cool all afternoon. So moving out to the front deck, the hatch over here in the very front of the boat is where we have our washdown hose and a faucet, if you can see that. And then we also have a hook for the anchor. And that comes out just like this. Two things here, and we have a bunch of stakes if you're on a beach. Just remember, you cannot drill holes into the sandstone anymore. That's a big, big no-no. If they catch you, you'll get escorted off of the lake. Make sure that that faucet is turned off securely. If it's left on, it will dribble, and that causes the water pumping back to cycle on and off, on and off. So we want to make sure that that faucet is turned off. Over here on the other side, our shore power cord is in there. Yeah, that's all there is there. This is our freezer. We like to keep some 1-gallon jugs of lake water in there, and we freeze them up and we use them in our ice chests. We also If it's a really hot day, we might put one in a refrigerator just to help it keep nice and cold inside. It suffered some abuse. Breaking ice bags on top of the freezer is not okay. Generally, that's where I leave it set. You can turn it off simply by doing this, or turn it back on. I leave it set right about there. Our barbecue, I don't know, I think it's about 7 or 8 years, maybe 9 years old now. It was gifted to us by the Bilegs. Thank you, Gary. Gary and Debbie, actually. And I want to go show you something back here. On the back of the barbecue, right here, that's the grease cup. Make sure you keep that grease cup cleaned out. Real simple to do. You just reach back here and pull it out and dump it in the trash, wipe it out, reinsert it. We've had a lot of issues over the years with that grease cup filling up and overflowing and making a mess out of everything. And then also, you can pull this pan out and clean the barbecue. It's good common practice for everybody to make sure this is cleaned out at the end of your trip. Make it nice for the next guy. That's the way you want to find it, nice and clean. So leave it nice and clean. As you can see, we're here at the cabinet in the hallway, and it is fully stocked up. Outdoor trash bags, kitchen trash bags, more kitchen trash bags, toilet paper, toilet chemicals, more toilet paper. This is where we keep everything stockpiled. So if you notice it getting low, let me know, and we'll make sure it gets stocked back up again. But I believe we have everything we need for a full summer. Okay, coming down here, this is kind of a junk drawer. There's everything from light bulbs. There's a globe for the porch light in back. There's all kinds of stuff in this box. If you need something, there's a chance it might be in there. This box here is spare parts. Well, spare everything's really. But if you go in here, there's a piece that goes on our throttle control cables, plumbing fixtures. We have a couple of impellers for the water pump on the generator. Oops, I believe these are buttons for the bottom of the chairs, so you don't tear the carpet out there. More plumbing stuff. Just a little everything. Here's a tube of plumber's grease. If you get a situation where the toilets are not holding water, sometimes you can take a dab of this plumber's grease on your finger, and I know this sounds gross, shut the water off, and then open the valve on the toilet and smear some of this grease on the rubber gasket in there. And this grease causes that gasket to soften, and it may seal up, which can save you a stinky trip. So that's what that's there for. This is the water pump impeller that goes on the generator. We try to make sure there's 2 of them in here at all times. If you need to use one, make sure that you let the maintenance company, Nate, know that we need another replacement here, and put it in this drawer. More parts, electrical stuff. Here's little brad nails, kinds of stuff, electrical connections. Here we have some of the hooks if you want to put up some hooks somewhere. First aid kit on the floor of the cabinet. There's a plastic bin here with first aid items. There's also a first aid book and a first aid guide here. It's also sitting here with all the mouse traps. So if you need a mouse trap, There's some here, but if you need first aid, and we hope you never do, it's right here in this bottom. This is a spool of lacing twine. This is for the canvas. A lot of our lacing is wearing out and needs to be replaced. I already replaced all the lacing on the rear deck. If you spot some lacing that needs to be repaired, this is the stuff you use. Please do not use this for any other purpose. It's really expensive. We've got enough here to do the whole boat a couple of times over, I think. Don't use this for anything other than lacing the canvas, please. And it'll be right in here with the mouse traps. All right, we're going down in the hole. We're going to talk about a few things. We have a brand new 50-foot freshwater hose. This hose is only to be used when you're refilling the freshwater tank at the dock. Never ever use this hose for lake water. If it should get mussel contamination and then used to pump water into our water tanks, the mussel contamination could go inside the water tanks, which are right here. There's two 100-gallon tanks down there, and if mussel contamination goes into those water tanks, the whole floor here needs to be taken up in order to get those tanks out and replace them. That's very, very expensive. So do not use that hose for anything but drink potable water, drinking water from the dock that goes in those tanks. As you can see, this is our inverter here. You got the green flashing light. Everything is working okay. These are isolators for our solar. I don't think you would ever need to mess with any of this. These are our solar controllers. That shuts off the solar power. We leave that on all the time. It keeps our inverter pack charged and keeps everything running. There is a manual in the book if you have any issues with this that will show you how to go through a diagnostics check. But knock on wood, these have been absolutely phenomenal so far. So they're here. That's what they are, in case you've always wondered, or you probably figured it out. Do be careful here. This is high voltage. Speaking of voltage, these are our breaker switches, mostly 110. This is your inverter in box. And so this controls some of the functions. And this is our main switch panel. It's listed over here, everything that's in the box. If you have something that's suddenly not working, probably just like being at home, come in here and see if you have any breakers tripped. This is our basement. This is where we keep all of our spare props, spare pumps, etc., parts, things we may need. Please do not shove this stuff way back there in order to put your luggage right here. This is stuff we may need at any given moment, and going back and digging it out from somewhere back there is just not the correct thing to do. So please leave this set up the way it is. We have a spare hydraulic lift pump for our outdrives right here. 2 spare seawater pumps. I only know of one occasion where a seawater pump had failed, but we have 2 spares here now. So if you should need a repair or replace a seawater pump because you have an engine overheating, we have 2 spares right here. This, of course, a spare Jabsco lake water pump. So I had to use the spare that we had on here. We had a lake water pump failure earlier this week, and I had to install the new one. This is what they look like. And the way this works is this blue tab right here. You pop these tabs out, and then the water line fits into it. You lock that tab in, and then there's 2 plugs on the electrical connection. You plug those in, and you're good to go. I'll go back and show you the water pump location and a little more detail on how to change it if you ever need to. That water pump sits here near the seawater pumps. So please don't move them around. We need to know where they are. Houseboat manager Nate knows where all this stuff is. And so if he needs to come out and do a replacement or something, then we want him to know that it's all here. Along with our 5 props. Count them, 5 props. We've got 2 right hands, 3 left hand props. If you should damage a prop, the wrench is right there. Go ahead and replace it. Give the damaged prop to Nate. He will have it repaired and put back on board. Do not take the prop home with you to get it fixed cheaper. Think about the next owner. If he damages a prop, now he has no spare. Let's think of our fellow owners on this one, huh? Here is probably the most abused tool on this whole boat, our vacuum cleaner. This one is only a year old and it's already showing signs of being abused. The tabs that we use to wrap the cord up have been broken off. And so we just wrap it around the whole vacuum now. This is where it goes. It doesn't go way down there. It doesn't go in there. It goes right here. Good convenient place to leave it. If you need it, you can just reach in here and bring it out. Try to be gentle with it. It's a great vacuum. Okay, let's talk about some of this other stuff in here. Back there is the water heater. And works just like at home. It's electric. It has a heating element that goes in the side up there where you see the wires coming in the side. And it keeps the water hot. There's a drain right there if you need to drain it for any reason. Oh, there's our fresh water pump. That pumps water from the tanks up to our drinking faucets. So if that should ever fail, you won't have any drinking water until that's replaced. That's where it's located. All right, moving out here. As you can see, and we're gonna crawl back, we're gonna have a little look back in there. But my God, we've collected a lot of crap here. Pardon my French, but last year, somebody graciously left us an ice maker, a countertop ice maker. Feel free to use it. We're going to leave that in here. In fact, I'm going to leave most of this stuff in here simply because I don't have time to go through it and throw stuff away on this trip. Moving back, there's a box there with a bunch of manuals, important information regarding the boat. We have some games, we have some chips, we have some firewood. This here is our air conditioning ventilation. So you have to be careful when you're crawling under this that you don't damage this, because it's had a few holes torn in it and they've been patched. But if the air conditioning doesn't seem to be blowing very hard, that's why. Good chance that our ventilation has some tears in it. People putting stuff back in here, snagging it, ripping it, and then the air comes out down here and not up in the cabin. Let's look at everything we got back in here. Oh, we've got a water cooler, we've got a playpen. We've got totes back in there that who knows what's in it. There's an old vacuum cleaner. Air hose for a compressor, I'm assuming. Tile grout. I mean, you name it, it's back here. Folks, please take everything home with you that you bring out here. Do not bring stuff out and just put it in the basement and think it's okay to be there for next year. Eventually, we're going to get in here, we're going to clean all this stuff out, and most of this stuff will go in the trash. That is our air conditioning pump. Our air conditioning units, we have two, one front, one aft, and they rely on cooling water to keep them cool because they're down here in a basement. So that pump pumps the water to the AC units. If you ever have a situation where AC doesn't look like it's blowing out cold air, check this pump. The pump could have failed, or there might be a pickup or problem in the pickup tube for the water. There's a clean out port over there that you can open it up, open the valve, and the water should flow through there pretty freely. Close that valve to stop the water flow. And if the pump has failed, there's a spare pump in that box. It's a 110 pump. The wiring plugs into that control box up on the ceiling. So if that should ever fail, there's a spare pump there if you feel like you want to replace it. Turn the valve off over there, replace the pump, turn the valve back on, and then it should go. You can always check to see if the water's flowing from the air conditioners. The rear air will flow out of a port on the starboard side of the boat. The front air will flow out of a port on the front port side of the boat. You can just look over the side and see the water coming out. And back here, well, those are the poop tanks. There's 2 of them, both 100-gallon. They're in good shape. They're not leaking. It doesn't smell down here. Right there, that structure there, that's the outer walls of the lower bunk room. So, in case you've never been down here before. Be careful. If you're down here in the basement, you're on your back and you're crawling along, do not grab onto these pipes or lines. This is all has to do with operation of the boat. There's wiring that goes through. There's water lines. And if you grab onto this, you'll pull them down out of the ceiling here. And that could be a very bad thing. So make sure you do not grab onto any of this stuff here to move through. And again, make sure that you don't snag the ducting for the AC units. And finally, one of the most important things about this basement is this light switch right here. This switch controls the lights. These are on 110. So whenever you close this hatch, always look in here and make sure the lights are off. Don't leave them on because they're a constant power drain. Okay, here we are on the aft deck. We're in the engine room. This is the port engine. Everything's serviced and checked and ready for the summer. A couple things I want to point out. We've had an issue in the past where this hose comes in contact with the belt. When that happens, it wears a hole in the belt. And then 2 things happen. One, it sprays water over the MMC controller and the battery and the switch over there. That can be a very bad thing because it can short the MMC out. The MMC is the Master Marine Controller. That is what controls your shifting and your throttle from the 2 different stations, helm stations. So when you put the engine in gear, it sends a signal to this MMC, and then the MMC in turn, you can see the 2 cables. One's a shift cable, one's a throttle cable. So it sends an electronic signal to the MMC, and then the MMC actually works the cables, the shift and the throttle. If water gets in that unit, it can short out, and it's an expensive repair to replace those. So keep an eye. It's the main large hose here that comes out of the thermostat and goes down. There's not a lot of room for it. So as you can see, just kind of keep an eye on that and make sure it's not rubbing. If it is, you'll need to call the maintenance guy or call me, and I'll call the maintenance guy and have him come out and adjust it. And that's true on both engines. So some of you remember when we had to replace the 12-volt charger and then we had to replace that MMC. You'll notice it doesn't look the same. Well, and that's what happened. That hose came in contact with the belt, and it rubbed a hole in it, and it sprayed water everywhere and ruined those units. So do keep an eye on that, as well as checking your oil. You can see there the service was just done. There's only maybe 1 hour since they were serviced, so we're good to go there. All right, next to the port engine, you can see these 4 batteries. These are our house batteries. So they provide the 12-volt power for various things, the stereo, lighting, your blowers, the bilge blowers, bilge pumps. Very, very important that they keep a good charge on them. There's a gauge on the dash, on the lower helm, that will tell you the battery condition, the voltage. It should always remain above 12.3 with everything turned off. I explained that earlier. We have this little solar charger controller, and that's connected to the small solar panel on the back of the Secret Escape, and that keeps this pack charged. But if you're using a lot of lights, you're using fans, you're using various things, keep an eye on that voltage up there on the dash, and if it drops below 12.3, you'll need to start the generator for about 20 or 30 minutes and put a charge back into this. It will charge off the gen, but also there's a slow, it's more like a slow charge off the solar, but generally it's enough to keep everything operating. So make sure you don't set anything on top of these batteries. Not a good idea to stand on them if you get down in there, but again, that's our house pack, so they give us the 12-volt power that we need for various things. And over here on the port side, you'll see the bilge blower mounted there. This blower takes air from the outside and blows it into the bilge area. There's a blower on the other side, and it's a draw. It draws air out of the bilge. So fresh air comes in on this side, and then on the other side it draws the air out. And that keeps all the gas fumes and stuff. It minimizes the risk of an explosion back here in case you get a fuel leak or spill some fuel somehow. Also, run the blowers when you're running the generator. A couple of years ago, we had an issue where the generator overheated, and it was about 110 degrees out here, and the owner was running the air conditioning. Just got too hot inside this engine bay back here, and consequently it fried the circuit board on the generator, and I think that was about a $2,000 fix. So make sure you run the blowers when you're running the generator, and it'll keep air circulating in here, especially on hot days. Speaking of generator, you'll notice a little relay back here. It's called cooling fan relay. That's for the generator. I installed this after that episode where the generator overheated. And basically what I did was over here on the starboard side, I installed a blower that draws air, cool air from the outside, and blows it directly onto the generator. This is where the circuit board and everything is located. And the way it operates is when you start the generator, that blower automatically kicks on, and it'll run the whole time the generator's running. It's a safety feature to try to keep us from ever incurring that expense again. We're moving over here to the starboard side. This is the starboard engine. Same as the port. You've got your oil dipstick over. Of course, it's on the other side on this one. We just replaced, you can see that brown clip on that cable over there. It had broken, and there was no throttle control. And so someone had the ingenious idea to take a string and tie it on with string, and it worked for, I don't know, I guess it's been over a year, but we just replaced that, so we put new clips on both engines. Again, watch that hose over there. Make sure there's always clearance between that hose and the belt. Always do a visual inspection of your engines, check your oil, and visually look at everything. Make sure the belt's in good shape. Make sure there's no oil leaking around anywhere. You'll notice the battery here. Each engine has its own starting battery. This is the starting battery for the starboard engine. That's its only purpose. It's just like in your car. This battery operates that engine. And you'll notice over here on the port side, there's a battery right there. That is the battery for the port engine. Also, each engine battery has its own switch, cutoff switch. So if you ever come out here and you turn the key and nothing happens, start by looking at those switches. That's the port switch, and the starboard battery switch is right next to the battery on the floor. All right, continuing with batteries. Many of you probably noticed the two batteries that are behind the generator. The green one here is the engine starting battery for the generator, and the switch for that battery is there on the floor. Now that is a very bad location for that, and we are going to move it probably up here on this panel. But that switch controls that battery, which goes to the generator. The other battery, the black battery that I just installed in here, that battery is for the MMC, the Master Marine Controllers. The MMC must have its own separate battery, and it charges when the generator's running, and then it provides power to the MMC controllers. So if ever you find yourself in a situation where you turn the key on, you don't get a tone, all the switches are turned on, you don't understand what's going on, it's possible that battery may be dead. If that battery has low voltage, the MMCs will not turn on when you turn the key on. And you won't get a tone, you won't get lights, you won't get anything. So that's a good place to look right there. I suggest everybody carry a 12-volt tester with them in their toolbox. And if you're a boater, you know what that is. And if you got a situation where you have no control, no shifting, no throttle, the engines won't start, you don't get a tone, check the voltage on that battery. If the voltage is low, we have jumper cables on here, and you can run a jumper cable to that battery from any of the engine starting batteries. So like the one over on the starboard side, you just run a jumper over and put power to that, and that'll give you enough power in that system to drive back to the marina. You won't be stuck out there on the lake. Keep that as reference, and know that you can do that. A lot of you have noticed this red cylinder here, and you wonder, what in the heck is that? Well, that red cylinder is our CO2 fire extinguisher, or I'm sorry, halon fire extinguisher that operates here in the engine bay. In the event of a fire in the engine bay, this system will kick on and drown everything in here in a chemical that will snuff the fire out, hopefully. It's not 100% foolproof, but it's a safety measure that the insurance companies require us to have on these boats. So that's what that is. That's a halon fire extinguishing setup in case there's a problem back here. It's got sensors built in here in the engine bay. It'll kick on, and it's got nozzles that'll spray everything down. Moving up here to the generator. It's a 12 kW Westerbeek gasoline powered generator. Many of you remember when we had it installed a couple of years ago. Well, I guess it's been 10 years ago now. It's a low CO generator, very quiet, very smooth operating. It's still an engine. The oil dipstick is right here. You never want to bring it past the full mark. If you ever pull the stick and it looks low, let it sit a little while and then check it again. Don't just automatically add oil. Oil does go in this cap. right here. On your visual inspection, take a look at these belts. Take a look at this belt. Kind of eyeball all these hoses, make sure everything's tight, secure. That all is very important for generator operation. I've already covered starting and stopping the generator, so hopefully we've got that. Oh yeah, the water pump. You notice that there's a small plastic tank here that's got antifreeze in it, coolant, automotive coolant. And you can see it's about half full. Always, always, always on your inspection, on your pre-trip inspection, take a look at this. Make sure that it's about half full with coolant. If it's low, there is a bottle, a jug of antifreeze or coolant. It's Prestone. It's a yellow 1-gallon bottle. And add some in there to bring it up to the halfway mark. That's very important. This engine is cooled by the antifreeze or coolant, and the coolant is circulated through a heat exchanger, which I'll show you is over on the starboard side. And the coolant circulates through the heat exchanger, which is basically cold water being pumped in. And that's what keeps this engine cool. Very, very critical. It's just like the radiator on your car. Now, the water pump is right here. This is the pump that pumps the water through the heat exchanger. And it draws the water in through this filter and this inlet. If you're out, you're in a cove somewhere and a storm comes up and it washes a bunch of debris into the water, and you might be sucking debris up through the intake pipe here, it's going to collect inside this filter. That will restrict the flow of water and will cause the generator to overheat. So if that should happen, unscrew this top, and it's pretty tight, so you can take a small hammer or something if you have the proper wrench. You unscrew this and there's a basket inside. Pull the basket out, clean it out real good, put it back in there, and then secure this top back on there. Also, there is a valve over here on the side to shut the flow of water off. So if you take that off and you don't close that valve, water will come pouring into the bilge here. So you want to make sure you close that valve, take this off, pop the screen out, clean it out real good, put it back in there, put that back in, and open the valve back up. Straight down is open, and when you pull it up, crossways is closed. And that feeds the water into the intake system for the water pump on the generator. Now, it can happen where the water gets restricted and the generator impeller will actually burn up. Kind of a bummer when that happens, but it can happen. And you simply come in, you loosen that bolt right there, take the tension off the belt, take that bolt out, and then you can actually remove this pump off of the engine. And inside the cabinet where I showed you earlier where there's some spare parts, inside that cabinet there are a couple of impeller kits. Those impeller kits are pretty simple to put in. Install one, reinstall the pump just like you took it off, and of course you got some hoses here that you need to disconnect. That's the intake hose right there, and then that's the exit hose there. That hose goes up into the engine. So if you get a situation where the generator's not pumping water and it's overheating, you need to handle that. Do not try to run the generator with a bad impeller. You will burn these things up if you do that. So although there are safety features on this one that will prevent the engine from running if it gets too hot, yeah, you wanna always make sure the impeller's pumping, the water pump is pumping an adequate amount of water to go through the heat exchanger to keep the engine cool. Now we'll move over to the heat exchanger. Incidentally, for those that don't know, I think most of you do know, but the hour meter reading is right there. And from up here, you cannot see it. What I do and what most folks do is they take their phone camera and they hold it down here, usually like on macro. With the generator running, you can come down here and you can snap a photo of the hour meter, and that's how you read the hours. Also below the hour meter is a start-stop switch, just like the one on the dash up front. Then you also have this 12-volt fuse and a small switch here. That switch always needs to be pushed in on top. That's on. And that allows the controller, that allows this controller to operate and the gauge to register. Moving back, you notice a breaker switch here. This is on the control panel of the generator. This is 110 power. So you can start the generator, but it won't put out any power until this is pushed up. Up is on, down is off. So that's just a breaker. If there's a short somewhere in the system, in the 110 system, that breaker will trip, just like at home, just like in your fuse panel at home. And then you know you have an issue. So that's what that is. Make sure it's always in the up position. Now next to that is the heat exchanger. So that water pump we were talking about pumps water into that large black cylinder. The water eventually goes up through that tube and then out the side, out the starboard side. So when the generator's running, you hear water or you see water pumping out of a port, a 4-inch port over there on the stern. That's the cooling water that we were just talking about that gets taken in, pumped into this heat exchanger, and then exhausts out there. The exhaust for the generator also runs through there. So you're getting exhaust and cooling water discharge out of that port on the stern, on the starboard side. Okay, this electrical panel behind the starboard engine, there are a couple of breakers on there. One of them is for the hoist over there on the left. So that breaker switch, that provides the power that goes up to the hoist. But as you can see, it's very heavy gauge wire to provide the power up there to that panel. If you ever have an issue and you've lost power somewhere, always come back and look at those two breakers that are on there. There's also a relay right there. Generally, I don't think I've ever seen a problem with that panel, so pretty much ignored most of the time. Right behind the heat exchanger, that is the water intake for our lake water system. The water comes in through this pickup tube, and that supplies the slide and all of our faucets and our showers with lake water. Again, you see that there's a valve here. If you need to work on this system at all, if you need to change a water pump or need to clean the filters, make sure you close that valve first. Just turn it down 45 degrees. That'll shut it off. Moving over here, you'll see there's a canister filter. This is the primary filter for water coming in from the lake. So any of your debris, like I was talking about earlier, that might be floating in the water in the cove you're in, it could plug this filter up. And so it's a pretty simple deal. You just reach down here, you unscrew this canister off of the bottom of that, and inside is a screen, a filter screen, and take the screen out, clean it, put it back in there, screw the canister on nice and tight, open the valve back up, and you should be good to go. Now you notice the water line comes in and it splits off right there. That is a secondary filter, the slide pump. So you'll see two pumps back here, a large one over there and a smaller one here. That smaller one is for the slide. So that secondary filter, if the primary filter gets really plugged up, you may want to check the secondary filter as well. It's the same thing. It's just got a little screw-on cup right there. Unscrew it, take the filter out, clean it, put it back together. And the pumps are pretty self-explanatory. Moving up, you'll see a larger canister filter here, similar to what you might have under the sink of your home. So this filters the water that's going into our sinks and our shower. Again, if you have a situation where the primary filter got all plugged up, well, if the water's not coming out of the faucets real good, you might want to unscrew that filter and take a look at the filter inside there, or that canister. If you own a home, you probably have this. So you just unscrew this, lefty-loosey, righty-tighty, and inside is a paper element filter. Clean it out somehow, reassemble it. Yeah, that's the filter for the lake water pump. Speaking of the lake water pump, I just installed a brand new one. The one we had in there suddenly failed a couple of days ago, and so I needed to replace it. And you do that by shutting that valve off that we already explained, and then you'll see these blue tabs. Easier probably to show you on this pump. Where the line goes in, right there, there's a blue tab, and you simply grab that blue tab and pull it out, and that unlocks the nipple that goes into the pump, and you pull the line out. Same thing on the other side, the inlet side. You pull that out, pop the line out, and then each pump has a blade connector like this. That's the ground. The red obviously is power. Unplug those two. You can lift the pump out of there, put the new one down in there, stick the nipples into the receptacle. Obviously the inlet side would be from the filter. The outlet side would be the line going to the slide in this case, or in that case it would be the line going up to the canister filter. But they're pretty simple to do. They're both the same. The only difference in these pumps is the size and how much water they will pump. Incidentally, there is a brand new spare pump for the lake water in the basement up front. So if something happens to this one, you can change it. It's pretty easy to do. You don't need to call for help. Just go ahead and change it out. And when you get in, we'll have another replacement placed into the basement. It's kind of a critical thing to have running water for your toilets, etc. And if your slide pump goes out, hey, just don't use the slide. Sorry to say that, but you don't want to ruin your whole trip just because one little pump went out. We do not carry a spare for the slide. We do carry a spare for the lake water. You've all noticed this electrical panel here in the starboard engine bay. It has 6 breakers. These are 12-volt breakers. The first 2 here are for the MMCs. You got a starboard and a port. They must be on. Forward is on. They must be in the on position in order to provide power to the controllers up at the helm. So if ever you come in, you turn the key, you don't hear anything, the engines won't start, nothing's happening, you're frustrated, come back and check these switches, because if somebody came in just to check the oil, it's possible they bump them and they're off. So make sure these are on. The last switch here, you'll notice it's marked slide pump. It's off right now. If you're going to use the slide, you go in there, you turn the switch on the wall, the slide water doesn't come out. Oh gee, what our slide's not working. Well, raise the hatch and take a look. Possible you got to turn that switch on to make the slide work. Generally, we keep that off. Unless you want to use the slide, then make sure you turn it on. All right, last thing we're going to look at here on the starboard engine bay is the Pronautic 12-40P battery charger. This is our 12-volt charger, and it's hooked up to the generator. So whenever the generator's running, this charger kicks in. It basically puts a charge into the house batteries and the MMC battery. If ever you're running the generator and it doesn't seem like the 12-volt house system is picking up, there is a fuse that's inside this box. I think it's a 5-amp fuse. There's some under the console up front. You have to take this cover off and you'll see the fuse inside, and it's possible that fuse may be blown. So if ever you get a situation where you're running the generator and it doesn't seem like the house system's kicking in, you might have to pull that cover off and replace that fuse inside of there. There is a manual for the Pronautics in the book, in the cabinet under the TV, and it shows you how to access that fuse and how to change it. And then the last thing is the key to the door. We keep a key to the rear door here. If somebody happens to lock that lock and you don't have your key with you, or maybe the previous owner went ahead and locked it up, and you get here and you don't have a key, raise this hatch and look right there on top of the fuel tank and you'll see a key. Just make sure you put that key back when you're done, because the maintenance guys and the guys who move the boat, like when we have the boat pulled or put into the water, they depend on that key being there, because they obviously do not carry a key. Keep that in mind. Oh yeah, I forgot. One last thing on your blowers. This is the blower that I was talking about earlier that operates the, it's over here on the starboard side of the engine. When you turn the blower switch on, the one on the port side blows in. This one here on the starboard side draws the air out of the bilge area. Extremely important that this blower always works. If you turn on the blower switch and nothing's happening over here, it's a good possibility that this blower needs to be replaced. There's a spare in the cabinet on the back deck. So these blowers are currently working just fine. But if like I say, you hear one starting to squeak or whine or doesn't come on at all, you're gonna have to replace it. If you don't want to replace it, you'll need to travel back here to the buoy and call the maintenance company and they'll come out and do it for you. This is the top deck. We have our 2 fuel tanks, 100-gallon fuel tanks. I made new dipsticks for the tanks. Please do not remove these. You can see that fuel stick, do not remove. And there's the fill line. So you'll notice the fill line is a couple inches below the top of the tank. And the reason for that is when it gets hot, the fuel expands and then it leaks out all over the top deck. So only fill it to that full mark right there. And again, do not remove these sticks. Got 1 for each tank, and there's 2 in the cabinet below for the main engine tanks. All right, propane for the stove. These 2 tanks are full, and that tank is full. So that should be good for the whole season. Right now, we're working on the rearward tank. So make sure when you leave, you turn it off, turn it on. When you get here, there is a valve, and I'm going to show you. So this valve right here, this is set for this tank right now. So it doesn't do any good to turn that tank on when that valve is like that. If this tank should run dry, simply take this valve, turn it around so it's pointing at this tank, and then open that one. Pretty simple. But for now, we're working on the back tank. This is how you should always find the furniture up on the top deck. We just spent a couple of $1,000 having the cushions redone because they got wet so often, they rotted out and came apart. So we just had them all redone. Please keep the cushions up under the awning when you're not here. Of course, when you get here, you can set the deck up and leave it. But when you leave, when you check off, this is exactly how it should be found. The captain's chair up front, the 2 sets of cushions, the table, the chair stacked beside it, nice and neat. Everything's under the cover, and hopefully we preserve it a little bit longer that way. Okay, the last thing on top deck, you've all seen this solar panel up here, and I think I described it earlier. This solar panel keeps our house pack. Those 4 batteries in the port engine bay are our house batteries. They operate the bilge pumps, the blowers, lighting, various things. This panel is what keeps those charged. All right, out here on the foredeck, this is how you should find the foredeck. This is how you should leave it. Table and chairs, freezer, and the barbecue. The barbecue is clean. You can see it's nice and clean. Okay, we are underway. The last phase of our spring tune-up is to take the Secret Escape over, flush out the holding tanks really good, and then top off the fuel tanks and fill the fresh water tanks so it will be 100% ready to go. The engines are running great. Everything seems like it's running great. Of course, that's right now. I hope throughout the summer that you all experience a wonderful, fun, and memory-making trip out here. Lake Powell is like no other place on earth, and hopefully you're able to enjoy it as such. Okay, it is Friday, I think, the 12th of June. And we hereby declare the Secret Escape ready for the summer of 2026. See, all the carpets have been pressure washed, cleaned, the barbecue, the table. This is how you should find the boat, and this is exactly how you should leave it. So let's go on inside. All right. First thing you want to do when you're leaving, make sure all the power, all the switches are turned off. We don't want to leave any pumps or blowers going. The amplifier and the radio is off. We can close the door. If you push up on it, it will lock. Okay. All right. The blinds should be closed. Refrigerators, inverter. Unless the owner following you requests to leave the inverter on, you would turn the inverter off and then make sure the refrigerators and freezer and everything are turned off. Glenn Judd will be the first this year, and I asked that I leave everything turned on for him. He'll be here in about a week, I think. Everything will be fine. All right. Okay. How you find it, how you should leave it. This is bedroom 1. You can see we have a new mattress topper in here. Please, people, do not put liquids of any kind on these mattresses. Cups of coffee, Coca-Colas, cocktails, ice chests that leak. These mattresses all have serious staining because they've been wet, and they're only about 5 years old, so we'd like to keep them around. They're expensive to replace, as you would know. Treat this houseboat like you treat your own house. This is bedroom number 1, ready to go. This is the forward bathroom, the forward head. Everything's nice and clean and in order. Toilets holding water. Shower's clean and ready. Again, check, make sure your lights are off. Let's go down in the lower bunk room. All the mattress toppers that were worth it were taken off and laundered, cleaned, and put back on. Now the back room here. And for those that don't know, there's a switch on the wall right here for the lighting. And the switch here for the lighting in this room. Again, make sure your blinds are drawn. does it for the lower bunk room. And now the back. Captain's quarters, I call it. This is the rear head. It's all ready. Plumbing has all been checked, no leaks. Cabinet's nice and clean. Again, toilet's holding water. All right, this is our back deck and our final part of the video. You notice all the ropes. We've got 4 on either side, nicely tied up. Our trash cans here. Be kind. We were lucky to find those lids, so try and take care of them. Again, you can see the carpets are all nice and clean. All the ropes are neatly put in place. We only have 3 chairs left, so if somebody wants to be real nice, maybe get a couple, 2 or 3 or 4 chairs that people can use, plastic chairs, put them back here. That would be nice. But other than that, from beautiful Lake Powell, Wahweap Marina, Page, Arizona, aboard the Secret Escape, we hope you all have a great summer of 2026. We're signing out, heading home. See ya. GoPro, stop recording.